Today, a new report basically outlines the Mets trade deadline strategy, and we're going to break it all down right here. What is going on, Metropolitans? You are locked into Mets Digest, your one-stop shop for Mets content all around the world. My name is Flobo Boys. Thank you so much for rocking with us, and gotta give everyone out there some props because we finally hit 1,000 subscribers. Couldn't do it without your help. We are a new channel, but quickly becoming your favorite channel for orange and blue content. And to be a part of that team means the world to me. Haters be darned. We are still amazing. You are amazing. Thank you so much. So, I was perusing the internet today, because the Mets are heading over to Los Angeles Angels of California, Anaheim. That team just always trips me up. But yes, they're going to be in Anaheim right now. And so I was doing my morning look at the news, see what's going on. And well, I came across this report from the New York Post, which is kind of a Flobo fact, my dad's favorite newspaper, about something about the strategy of what the Mets were trying to do. Now, we had speculated what the Mets were going to do, their approach during the deadline, what was David Stearns going to do, but this report from the New York Post basically confirms this. It comes from John Heyman, one of the prolific writers for that publication. It says, the Mets checked in on big relief stars Tanner Scott, that we knew, Carlos Estevez, Pete Fairbanks, Kyle Finnegan, and others, but understandably didn't want to mortgage the future while barely in wild card position. And before, let me stop right here. Well, barely in wild card position? That is no way to talk about the future World Series champions, the New York Mets. I digress. The report continues. The Mets made sure to keep top prospects Jet Williams, Drew Gilbert, Ryan Clifford, Luis Angel Acuna, Blake Tidewell, Brandon Sproat, and others. The 100-mile-per-hour Sproat is a late call-up candidate, especially if the bullpen remains an issue. The Mets fielded significant interest in Brett Baty, but with this improved defense and .897 AAA OPS, they still like him. Okay, there is a lot to take away from that thing right there. In fact, I'm going to put it right here back on the screen so we have it at the handy. A lot to take away here. So we have a pipeline of prospects, but the fact that the superstars we had acquired, or the ones that were in the system for last year, Williams, Gilbert, Clifford, Acuna, Tidewell, and Sprout, are the ones that were mentioned by name. So we kind of had a feeling these are going to be in the plan moving forward. There was talk about whether or not we move them, especially the 1-2 punch of Gilbert and Clifford. We'll get to them in a second, but they are basically within our season plans. But Sprout was interesting. In fact, we had a commenter on one of the videos a couple days ago was saying, hey, look, why not bring Sprout up now? And I go, well, he's probably a 2025 project. It may be the case, but it is interesting that it was mentioned by the Post about possibly being brought up as something on the back half relief, or just for the time being, as we are wearing through the bullpen, and you have to suss out who we did get and whether or not it can hang, right? We had the acquisitions we did. We talked about that in previous videos. If they don't work out, you got to think about who's the next line of defense, and Sprout is in that plan. But the Beatty thing gets me. The field has significant interest in Brett Baty, but with his improved defense, they still like him. Now, I'm not a Brett Baty hater, and why would you, right? He's not really a bad person, He's not really a guy that cheats in poker games. I don't even know if he plays poker. But his production on the main roster right now wasn't that great, and it just kind of coincided and dovetailed with the rise of Vientos becoming the everyday third baseman. Brady got sent down, so I thought it was going to be curtains for Brett, not because I didn't like the guy, but rather here is somebody that needs to be at the major league level to be good. In AAA, he mashes and smashes. It really was adjusting to major league hitting, or major league pitching, and that's usually a recipe of being shipped off. But to say that they still want him, or they still like him, says there's plans for Brett. I guess maybe it's a plan B, and this is my speculation. There's no one saying this. Might be my speculation. If, as a plan B, if Pete Alonso decides to go elsewhere, I'm not hoping he does. I'm just saying if he decides to go elsewhere, you got Vianders at third, you can move him over to the first, and then bring up Brett Beatty as an everyday third baseman. So basically, it'd be a plan B. I would think. I'm speculating if Pete Alonso does walk, but the fact they still like Beatty says a lot about the confidence of teams. A lot of times you see baseball teams or just any kind of baseball teams, music record labels just say, hey, look, kid, you're yesterday's news. We're done with you. But it's very rare, especially with this fan base and the front office expectations of people trying to win now, win forever, that they're willing to work with someone who is fantastic in the minor leagues, but definitely struggles when it comes to being brought up on the main roster. So that's to me, that was kind of a interesting thing for me. But I had to mention that list of prospects, and it's Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford, which is someone that actually came in this guy's trade, the Verlander trade from last season. And of course, if you guys have been following the Mets news, it turns out that Verlander, due to his extensive injuries this season, won't be able to hit his limit or his vesting option. The idea was that if he hit over 140 innings of work, that the Mets will be on the hook for the full salary of his full 2025 salary. He does not seem to be on that path to hit 140 innings. That means the team is going to be on the hook for half of that, or 17.5 million, which means that there's a little bit more money in the war chest for the Mets, but which is kind of a cool thing. So 25 million is going to be paid for Verlander's salary this year, but only 17.5 million for next year. And you're probably asking yourself, what does that have to do with that? Well, in that Verlander trade, we got Drew Gilbert and Ryan Clifford, and those were like kind of Houston's pretty much ace prospects last year, especially Ryan Clifford, who is mashing right now, even though the batting averages are pretty much low as they are across minor league baseball. Drew Gilbert is batting 206 with a 640 OPS, and Ryan Clifford is batting a 219 with an 802 OPS. The thing is, the future is bright. These are young talent. Both these men are under the age of 25 by a considerable margin, and it is kind of investing in the future. So going back to what we were saying about the trade deadline strategy, the name of the game is how do you add to a team that's in wild card position? We're not 25 games over 500. We're not in the doldrums like the White Sox. How do you add small acquisitions? How do you make sure there's still a future as far as prospects and a pipeline and keeping that strong? And this is what the strategy was, confirmed by the New York Post, but the elements we have now tells me things may be bright. So if you're on the fence, if you're watching this, you're like, well, I don't know what team should be mine. If you're already a Mets fan, I think it's time to buy it. Now, of course, I would say some fan bases would hate that, but I encourage everyone to come onto the right side of the Amazons, because it looks like if it's not going to be this year or next year, the next couple years, we're going to be on an upward trajectory as far as our talent, the on-field product, and hopefully some wins. Yo, thank you so much. You guys have reached the end of the video. Subscribe. Please subscribe. Thank you so much for the original 1,000, the OGs, for making Mets Digest part of their Mets diet. I am out. Good luck for the team, and let's go Mets.